I was deeply inspired by my father for the simple reason because he used to treat patients for free. So for his entire career and the next 12 years in a chartered bus, I did 4 degrees. I used to carry a torchlight and books. People used to smile at me and laugh at me. Even my relatives to say, he has no ambition. He doesn't know what to do in life. He's such a lethargic person. But those kind of things have never bogged me down. When the whole world is against you and is criticizing you, you have to find your own way. And that is...
You actually have 12 degrees?
Yeah.
You have 12 degrees?
Yes. Why has Indian system thrived in a joint family situation? Because you face crisis together. When you are working in a organization, you are supposed to work collaboratively.
And what is the one unconventional skill you think a JC should possess?
One is communication. The other thing is thousands of students every year, they qualify to become lawyers. Thousands of students qualify every year after doing their MBA. If you read the reports, less than 10% of them are employable. Employable. The issue will be that you have to be ahead of AI. The AI things, they will give me hundreds of points. But what is my human intelligence is to able to understand that what is crap and what is good. To remove crap from good requires intelligence.
You are a musician with a YouTube channel. You are a biker and you're a sports person. So tell us a little bit about Akhil Prasad Nottar.
उड़ाता चला गया मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया बर्बादियों का सोग मनाना फिजूल था.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Lawyer podcast. My name is Jana Krishnan. I'm your host and the founder of the Daily Lawyer. And today is yet another episode in our General Counsel series, which is presented to you in proud collaboration with Zoho Sign. Zoho Sign is part of the Indian-made Zoho suite of products, and it is a comprehensive e-signature solution tailor-made for Indian businesses. I'm going to be speaking about Zoho Sign more at the end of the video, but for now, I want to extend my deepest thanks to the Zoho Sign team for collaborating with us and for making this series possible. With that, I am so excited to introduce our next guest. I am sitting down with Mr. Akhil Prasad, who is an executive director on the board. He's a group head of legal and company secretary of Boeing India. Thank you so much for being, and you've worked in like really large organizations before you came to Boeing. So I'm very interested in knowing about his journey, but we also learned something very nice. He's not just a lawyer. He is a musician. He has his own YouTube channel, which 55 songs, which he sings. He is a biker. He is an avid fitness enthusiast. We are going to uncover all that in this, all the time that we spend with you. So thank you for being part of the podcast.
For having me here.
Yes. So I didn't really speak much about your role and about your profile. So can you take us back to, you did the law and then now you're group legal head of Boeing India. What were some of the pivotal moments in this journey?
So, there have been several because now it's almost 30 years. And I was the first generation lawyer. And my father and both my parents, my father was a practicing medicine practitioner. Our hometown is very close by from Delhi. It's Meerut. And my mother, she retired as a professor of zoology. And so, being a professional was, but natural. But when I was a kid, I was deeply inspired by my father. For the simple reason because he used to treat patients for free.
Oh.
So for his entire career, since 1962 till 1995 when he passed away, he did not charge a single penny from his patients. So it was more of a philanthropy. And likewise, my mother, she was also a philanthropist because although she was a teacher, but initial few years, she did not take any salary. So why I was deeply inspired by them, because this was not only professional services, but this was a professional service for people who needed the most. And my father used to say that my grandmother, when my father was studying medicine, So she said, "बेटा कभी गरीबों से पैसे मत लेना." And which he did for the entire life. So when he passed away, till that time, he never charged any fees. So that was my inspiration. But as luck would have it, I did not pass my medical entrance exam. I failed just by 7 marks. And my father said to me that I never wanted you to be a doctor. It was your mother's wish. Because if you were to be a doctor like me, you will never be able to survive.
Yeah.
And so that was the only thing which I got from him. And he said that do something different. So, imagine this was 19, early 1990s, sorry, middle 1990s, and that was the only thing he had for me. So I had to find my own way. So it was a long struggle, lot of uncertainty, especially when we lost him. And when the true color of life comes to you, that people you think are close to you, and after you lose that person, the reality bites. So for us, for me and my mother, it was really tough to survive. And when you are in a survival mode, then you have to be on your own. You are suddenly on the street, nobody there to help you. And so my first degree, which I did, was company secretaryship after BCom. And because I lost my father so very early, I had to really start working. And my first job, I started working in Bombay, but I came back because my father was not well. So for initial 12 years of my career, I had to commute from Meerut to Delhi every day.
And how far is that?
This is not very far. It's about, in terms of kilometers, it must be 80 kilometers. But I never had a luxury of traveling in my own car. So it was a chartered bus journey. And you imagine, 50-seater having 150 people. And the constant struggle every day for 12 long years is how will this end for me? Because it was a 3.5 hours journey each way, 7 hours every day for 12 years. And I realized that the only way perhaps I can get out of it is if I continue to educate myself. And that was the survival phase, where all hobbies, passions that I had, I could not practice because for me, the first goal was to stabilize my life and do something for the family. So that, and our family has a very established name. So our family is known in Meerut for last 500 years. Yeah, so I am doing a family tree also. So when we say the 7 generations, I have already identified in that family tree. And when I read about the family, so one of our forefathers, he used to be a minister in the court of Aurangzeb.
Wow. I did not think you could get any more interesting than what you are.
Yeah, so that history of the family I traced up to the period of Aurangzeb. So it's not about Aurangzeb, or it's about my family, and the name has continued for so many years because the family has always done something worthwhile. And it was an enormous pressure on me when I lost my father, who was so well known, that I have to do something of the same stature that he would have done or his forefathers would have done, so that the family name continued. So that was the enormous pressure on me as a youngster who just lost his father. I was just 25 years old. And the next 12 years in a chartered bus, I did 4 degrees. So I remember when I used to travel in a chartered bus, I used to carry a torchlight and books. I never used to get a seat. So many times my wife used to drop me to the first bus stop in Meerut where the bus used to start so that I could get a seat. Sometime I could not, but then people used to smile at me and laugh at me that this person is studying in a bus, how can you concentrate, just a big show off. But I managed to get 4 degrees, and then the journey continued.
So, what are your 4 degrees? Company secretary?
So after CS, I did law from Meerut College. I did LLM from Meerut College. I did PhD in commerce.
Acha.
Yeah.
PhD in commerce.
So I have two now. I have a PhD in commerce. I have a doctorate in law.
Okay.
So 2 PhDs.
Oh yeah, your doctor. Sorry, he's not Mister. He's Doctor Rakit Prasad. So sorry.
Yeah. So then things did not end there, because when you are studying, so in one of the interviews, I was being interviewed by a German company. And then when I went for the interview, they look at my CV, because those were not the LinkedIn days. Those were the days when you had to send your CV by post. And then when you were called for the interview, you went for the interview. And the person who was interviewing me, he said to me, "You have done law from Meerut?" I said, "Yeah, that's in my CV." That time I was LLB and CS. And he said, "मेरठ कॉलेज से लॉ तो चाकूगढ़ के पास कर लेते हैं लोग."
Oh.
So I said, "No, I never did that. I studied very, very hard." He said, "No, no, no, no. We cannot hire you." And then, also there was an instance when in one of the companies I was working, the manager came to my home in Meerut. We had a big palatial home, and my mother was there, and he said in front of my mother, "आपका बेटा जिंदगी में कभी तरक्की नहीं कर सकता." So my mother, I had lost my father by then. So my mother said, "Why are you saying this?" So he said, "ऑफिस तो शाम को 5:30 बजे स्टार्ट होता है, ये तो बस में बैठ जाते हैं मेरठ जाने के लिए." So my mother said, he cannot afford to live in Delhi because he just lost his father. And he said, नहीं, ये जिंदगी में कभी तरक्की नहीं कर सकता. Even my relatives, in front of my father, used to say, he has no ambition. He doesn't know what to do in life. He's such a lethargic person. So those kind of things I have gone through in life, and but those kind of things have never bogged me down, because for I was in a survival mode, you know. And when you are in a survival mode, you don't get bogged down by these things. You only think, what should I do now? When the whole world is against you and is criticizing you, you have to find your own way. And that is the only way for me. We have all seen Forrest Gump, the Forrest Gump,
Yeah.
blinkers on your eyes, and you only have to run ahead. That was the same situation for me. That despite this criticism, the only way I could do this was to keep educating myself. And God has been kind. That, and then the other side of criticism which I faced in my career was when during your appraisal cycle, people, you work hard, you expect an increment and a promotion, and then you are told that in India we are giving you a 5% increase, but then you ask, why? What about UK? There the increments have been higher, or the American lawyers are getting higher, the European lawyers are getting higher than you. They said, well, you are an Indian lawyer. And then again, you can get bogged down by that kind of feedback. But then I thought that now it's the time I should study international law. And then I also studied in the UK. I did company secretary of UK. I did solicitor of England and Wales. Then I did master of law from Northwestern University. And it was interesting, when we were at a event when everybody has passed the qualification at Northwestern, I said that now my law degree from Meerut College, which somebody said Chaku Gad ke paas ho gaya, it was as good as your Northwestern LLM degree.
How did you manage your time? Because LLM is a full-time course, right?
So this was an executive LLM program,
Ah.
which was at par with a full-time LLM
so
degree.
a few months you have to stay
Few
there.
months in Chicago, few
Chicago.
months in Madrid.
Boston?
Madrid.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay. It was a.
It was a blend of business administration and,
Okay.
and master of law. So the point here is, when you have no option, when you do not, so people get bogged down, and when they say the life is very hard, how can I manage 10 hours? How can I manage 12 hours? I think what these things have taught me is to extract 48 hours from 24 hours. You have to learn to become more efficient. You have to learn to become or manage your time well. So for me today, I think it is very important that every day is a Sunday and every day is a Monday. You have to do your life. For me, it's not fragmented. that this I will do on a weekend, this I will do on a Monday, this I will do on a Wednesday. On a Sunday also, today when I came here to meet you, I have already devoted 4 hours on my professional responsibilities with my employer. So I finished my work this morning and I'm here. So I'm free. So tomorrow or Monday will be the similar thing. I will complete my work efficiently, and then the rest of the day I have time for other things that I want to do.
Lovely. So many things I want to dig in over there, but I also want to speak about, you said how you were in survival mode and all of your passions and your interests you could not pursue. And then you have managed your life in such a way. Like, what is really standing out to me is, this nothing is impossible attitude. It's like, I can go to the UK and do a master's in law or whatever, or a company secretary course. I can go to the US and do a master's in law. Like, there's just constant learning. And then you just spoke about your learning Hindustani classical music with someone who's much younger than you. So you spoke about your professional. I mean, you really didn't speak about your professional accomplishments, but tell us a little more about your person. Like, who are you outside of being a lawyer?
So before that, one thing I want to tell you, um, it was also about a commitment I gave to my father. So when we knew my father was not well, and we never thought that he will pass away so soon. So he said to me, one night he was not well, and I was पैर दबा रहा था उनके में, and it was, I think, about past midnight or so, and then he said, Bennett, I did so much for everybody, I could not do anything for you. And then at that time I was just a qualified company secretary. I had not taken additional 10 degrees which I have now. So I said, why do you say that? He said, no, I wanted to set up an industry for you. I wanted to set up something for you, but I somehow lost all my finances. I do not have anything. I could not do anything for you. So I said to him that the power of vow, I took a vow before him. I said, Papa, let me tell you that, I give you my word. I will work and I will earn respect what you expect out of me. Today I may be nobody, but I'm your son, and I give you a commitment that I will achieve something in life. I will keep on learning. So at night, he just put his hand on my head and he said,
Tadastu.
Jeete raho. And, that has been a moment of change in my thinking process. And the other biggest thing which I faced was when he passed away. He was in the hospital in the ICU. I was in my second year of law. I had just completed my first job, and my mother was there. We were all in the ICU. We were stunned because he died very, very young.
Suddenly.
And my mother did not cry, and she said, 3 दिन बाद तेरा लॉ का एग्जाम है, तुझे एग्जाम देके आना है.
My God. What a strong woman your mother is.
Yeah, so both my father and mother has been extremely, extremely made a very deep impact on me. And then, it helped me to
Who you are.
come into a survival mode, to fight, come what may.
Yeah, of course.
And then, when that thing comes inside you, that time it was more important for me to establish myself professionally,
Yeah.
which was keep on educating myself. And because on keep on educating myself, I got various things. For example, I got all these lovely employers that, my CV tells you. It is not what, I did or I followed them. I think what I could do was only to study. That was the only thing I had in my hand, in my control. The other things God gave me. All these beautiful companies that I worked for, it was the gift of God. So on the right side, it was my employment. And on the left side, I have been fortunate to go and teach at one of India's best universities, whether it's Indian Institute of Management, whether it's IIT, whether it's National Law University, because of my core which I developed, which was education, I was able to get on the both side good employment and good
And
lot of
education.
respect.
So what did you teach at what do you teach at IIT and IIM?
I teach sector specific, for example, aviation, defense, how the business has expanded in India, what is the future. I also take leadership sessions at the various IIMs. And not only IIMs, I go to, so wherever people call me, I was recently called by a fantastic private university in Himachal Pradesh, which is Shulini University. So it's more about the passion of people connecting with me, because these private institutions are doing such a phenomenal job. So I'm not saying I only will go to IIM. I will go to anywhere where students need me, and that's what I do.
Oh, so lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm enjoying this conversation because it's so much very unusual. Like you're very unusual. But I understand you've your a lot of your experiences have been shaped by your maybe
Real life situations.
real life situation. I mean, I suppose that is similar for all of us, but in
Yeah.
your case it sort of came very early in your life and it came very sudden, so you had no choice but to grow up very quickly. And then I find it curious that you have the companies that you're with, you're no stranger to crisis, right? Like not clearly not in the personal front, but also not in the professional front. uh, and you have this really calm, like zen like demeanor, like don't worry, everything will be chill, just keep your head down and do the work. So how do you approach crisis? Is that something that has developed over time, or it is your personal experiences that have shaped you like this?
So you will hear many people getting a lot of people have a lot of frustration when they face crisis. And I would say, because as you rightly pointed out, because it came to me early in my life, and a lot of ridicule, lot of um, personal losses in the family, financial pressures. So now you realize that what can go wrong, right? And especially when you are in your employment, versus in your own business, I think the pressures of business are greater than employment. Because I'm not saying it about myself, but if you get stuck in your employment, you can always move on in life. But when you get stuck in your business, which I was, because our family was also into film business.
Oh, is it?
Yes, so
Oh.
we were the largest film distributors in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s
In the north or
in Delhi and UP territory.
I
So we
see.
had our own distribution company in Delhi, and we had two cinema halls in Meerut.
Okay. Okay.
Meerut, and they were one of the best cinema halls in the town. So we faced bankruptcy, almost bankruptcy, not in a legal sense, but bankruptcy because after having ruled the industry for 3 or 4 decades, everything just went away. And then we ventured into a real estate business that also bombed. I think one of the reasons for my father's ill health was the reputational risk which he faced after coming from such a renowned family, and then facing all this. He could not perhaps digest it. But yeah, having faced those personal crises in your life and then losing your family, perhaps made me more stronger inside. I'm not saying I'm very strong inside. I also get ruffled. Even today, when there is something negative things, we are all human beings. It does impact you. But when you are in an employment mode, um, then these things, at least it's a backbone of your life, and you become stronger. And then you are a advisor. And when you are an advisor, when people come to you in a crisis situation, they will come to you because they want solution from you. And when as a counsel of the company, I'm not being able to provide them with trust and confidence,
What's
I'm
the
not
use?
doing my job well.
What's the use?
So then you have to really find a situation. So when I was in my personal life, despite facing so much adversities, I was able to come back.
Yes.
So why should not a company, when it's the company is a crisis, I should be, and I always take a crisis a new learning experience. Together, if we face the crisis, we will always bounce back. and that has been
Your
my
mantra.
approach. My
Yeah.
approach towards dealing a crisis situation.
But how do you manage the emotions? Like in the recent past, there has been a big crisis that has happened. How do you manage the emotion? Especially now with social media and all of that extra additional hate and all of the things that come not your way, but the way of any company. How do you manage that emotion and that pressure?
See, one has to be very objective, and fortunately, as lawyers, we are always taught to be objective. So emotions, definitely, people, when there is a crisis, people come to you, you have to empathize with them, but then you also have to make them understand what is logical, what is practical. Always, in a moment of situation, the practicality will always help you to come out of a crisis. Emotions will always bring you down or take you down, but then you have to think objectively. You have to follow the law, you have to follow what is in the contract, and then you have to really analyze and see what the problem actually is, and then you have to solve that problem rather than getting bogged down by emotions. So for me, when somebody is coming, you have to be patient. You have to empathize. You have to give, support, put pat on the back, and then move on and take the practical view.
Yeah.
That is, I think, how it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, I know.
It should be dealt with.
See, it's easier said than done, but I think this is all a part of you learning, right?
A new learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it comes with experience also.
It comes with experience. So if you were to take a Harvard program or a Wharton program, or you studied at Columbia, uh, so our Indian philosophy has been something which now the Western world is trying to teach us. But our Indian philosophy, how our homes or the joint families, why has Indian system thrived in a joint family situation? Because you face crisis together
Yeah.
in a joint family. Why are now problems coming in nucleus families? Because people do not have time to hear other person's problems or crisis or support people in a crisis. But when you are working in a organization, you are supposed to work collaboratively.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what your job is, that face crisis together. Collaboration is the only way to face a crisis.
Yeah, that's true.
And our joint family system has taught us that.
Yeah, true. With all the tamjham that comes with the joint families, I am a product of a joint family, so I can say that it's
So
absolutely.
another word is learn from the basics. So whatever our Indian culture has taught us,
Yeah, just stick to it.
stick to it.
Yeah, I agree. But tell me, as a GC, I mean, you have spent a very long time at Boeing now, but even before you had long stints with other large organizations. I know you were with Electrolux, and then you were with, what was the?
General Motors,
You were
Disney,
with, yes, you were with
Disney,
General Motors, then Disney.
then
And with,
Fidelity.
so with General Motors, you were with for a long time.
I was, for about 3 years.
Yeah. So you've sort of seen this arc, and and plus you've also been a company secretary, so you've not just seen the legal function, you've also seen the compliance function sort of evolve in the last 20,
Right.
30 years.
Right.
What do you think has changed? What is
See-
one thing that has changed?
See, things that have changed for me as a professional is, previously I used to think that I am a company secretary or I am a lawyer. But I think the most important thing is, this is something which is for you. This is a degree that you have done, but this is for you. When somebody is coming to you, your CEO is coming to you, the person is not coming to you because you are a company secretary or a legal person. The person is coming to you for a solution.
Yes.
And that solution may not be within your area of within your domain. So there may be a question that a CEO will ask you, and the person is coming to you because the person thinks that you can give that answer. So most often you may not have that answer, but then it is your job to collaborate or to reach out to the right resource and then go back to your MD or a CEO with the correct answer. So today I would say what has changed is that people are looking at you to find solution or to give support. That is something which we should so in future what will change? In future, people will not perhaps think you only about a lawyer, you are contributing for the growth of an enterprise. And that is why you are there in that organization. It's not only because of your legal work or your company secretarial work or your risk and compliance work. Everybody wants business to grow. Everybody needs to be supported on the sustainability, business sustainability. So those are the kind of things that you have to contribute as a professional, and that is what somebody needs to do, and that is the change which people will see in future.
That's a good one, huh? So lovely. And what is the one unconventional skill you think a JC should possess, given this, what you said?
See, unconventional thing, not only for a GC. I think as a professional, I think there are two or three things which are very, very important. One is communication. Today, I see people are used to working, so the verbal communication has gone away. Now it's more digital. Whether you are responding on an instant message or on a WhatsApp or over an email, that kind of a communication is become more acceptable. And that is where people should adapt. So previously it used to be, for example, a verbal communication. Now then it used to be typewritten. Now it's digital. So that communication thing is something which is very, very important, which people should embrace. The other thing which is very, very important is be approachable. So people have a somehow a way that I will only talk to a top level or a middle management level. People below that level do not exist. I think my philosophy is a little different. I would believe that people will only trust you if you have an open door policy. If you have an open door policy, anybody can come in and take an advice. You will only gain trust and confidence that way. So communication and open door, perhaps they are linked, because when you are more approachable, that communication
Yes,
factor
of course.
will be more important. And then the trust and confidence, when it gets built, the subject knowledge perhaps is now not as dominant.
You're right.
What is more dominant is
Is
open communication
Yes.
and approachability.
And is that something that you foster in your team as well?
Of course. So, empowerment is another one. So, you need not be a micromanager. So, if you have a big team or a small team, whatever team it may be, empower those people to take decisions. So, so in legal world, we do not have a contra entry. An accountant may have a contra entry that you make a wrong entry, you can change it. But from legal point of view, if you give a wrong advice and business acts upon it, it is disastrous.
There's no do-over.
This is disastrous.
Yes.
So then you may feel you may come to a conclusion that this has been a disaster, but there is always scope of improvement. The only thing is to own up that disaster. And it's not that you will ask your subordinate to say that this person has done that disaster. As a team leader, it is your responsibility to own a disaster
That's true.
and find a better way for your clients and your team.
How have you integrated legal tech into your operations? Because you have come from a time where there was no tech, forget legal tech. You must be doing like Tally and and then after that, so many things have changed. And today you have all these fancy solutions. And how do what is your view of tech adoption?
So one has to really embrace technology. So we cannot live in isolation. So when we were in college and schools, we never had computers. And that time people used to say that, you will not be able to survive or not get jobs because somebody who has learned computers will get jobs. People who have not learned computers will not get jobs. But that evolution happened. And today we have a computer in our phone. We have AI technology embedded in our phone. So my view on technology is you cannot live in isolation. The technology factor has to come in your professional services. And unless you are embracing technology, you are still living in a primitive world. And your clients, they are adapting technology. You are not. So there's going to be a big, it's going to be a misfit. So my view on technology, legal tech is whatever things need to be subjected to technology for better efficiency in an organization, a GC office should definitely support that.
Like what? Like in your role,
Contract
for
administration,
example.
contract administration. So if you are if your organization churns out large contracts, digital contracts, for example, somebody who is working in an e-commerce industry, they will have terms and conditions which will the
This
consumer
checkbox.
checkbox technology. So you have to work with your clients to make that technology, uh, adapt that technology. For example, if you are facing large litigation, so then you have to empower your teams with a large search engine capability, that whatever, whether it's a LexisNexis technology or whatever it may be, so your team will need that support. On compliance, compliance is the big one. So there is, first you need to be updated on regulations. So you need to have a technology which tells you what is it that will impact your business going forward. So a GC should be very, very adept in knowing what the future laws will change and how will they change and how will they transform your company. And it's not that now the laws that have been enacted, but the bills which are being proposed, as a general counsel, you should have an eye on those bills. For example, the labor codes. Most of the labor law will go away and the new labor codes will come into play. But some people will tell you that I will only change when the law is enacted.
Yeah.
Right?
What should I think about that now?
For example, the
Like privacy, for example.
data privacy. Data privacy. So our job is to keep the organization ready. What the government is thinking, how the laws will come into play, and then you have to see whether what will it take to change your organization during that period.
So what you spoke about contract management, because now what are some of the tech solutions that you are particularly excited about? Whether it is e-signatures, or is that something that you use?
Yeah, so e-signatures, I have a view on that, because although e-signatures are permitted, but from our standpoint, only those signatures which comply with the DSC requirements. For us, only that technology is useful. For example, we have some software where our teams, they would put a signature using that software, but that software is not acceptable as per DSC compliant. So then you have to tell your people that this is fine for your internal email compliance standpoint, but if you were to do a contract, you will have to put only a DSC which is authorized or authenticated. So that distinction people have to understand.
So, like with Zoho Sign, for example, they are e-signature providers, and then they also give you DSCs. They give you signature certificates. Maybe somewhere a leaning that you want a more global solution which you can roll out across offices, especially if your legal team is centralized in one place, which was the case for us. So, given a situation like that, an Indian-made solution, where do you see that coming in?
So, Indian-made solution will definitely be there, because that is a local law compliance. For example, in US, they may not have a requirement of a digital signature. So they may say a DocuSign is sufficient. But in India, there is a specific regulation that a contract which has been executed using a valid DSC will only be recognized as having been properly signed.
So otherwise, you need the 65B.
Exactly. So that is where, a local advice will become necessary. That, yes, we can put a digital signature only which has been provided by a controller, authenticated by a controller. So that is not only for DSC, but this comes into play for many things which are required under the local law.
Yeah, which is compliance specific.
For example, the Indian Stamp Act.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. One of the things that which I didn't know, I got to know later, that with the same Zoho Sign solution, they do e-stamping, but not in all states, only in a few states. I know Maharashtra they have. I'm not sure whether they have it in Delhi or not. I found that to be a very useful feature.
Yeah, it's a very useful feature, and because that also takes care of your local law compliance.
Yeah.
And then local law, whatever so the technology is good. So not every technology which is global is relevant. A global technology which also takes care about the local law
is useful.
is useful.
Yeah. But there is openness about adopting Indian-made technologies as well.
Yes.
Nowadays, now you're seeing that.
Yeah, because see, all these multinational software solutions will have a large base either in Gurgaon or in Bangalore or in Hyderabad. So whatever these companies are doing, they have a big presence in India.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is on your legal tech wish list? As in, what are you using now in the next 5 years? I'm a genie. I can give you whatever you want in legal tech. What will you ask for?
So it's about, so my bigger focus, see what we do well and what we do not do well. So what we do well in a company is the local entity compliance. For example, you have a XYZ company, you are a general counsel of that company. So whether the provident fund is being done on time, fine. Whether overtime is being paid to your employees, fine. Whether bonus is paid to your employees is fine. But the moment you employ contract labor, that is where everything goes into a gray zone. Because our responsibility under labor law is that of a principal employer. So the challenge which comes to us is, what if your contractor is not doing something right? For example, you are renovating an office like this, and you have spent 1 crore. Did you pay 1% BOQUA cess? So that those are the kind of things which troubles me a lot, that we may be good in ensuring our own compliance. So all big companies will have a PwC or a EY or a KPMG or a Deloitte who will look after the various entity compliances. But very seldom do you have a compliance process which takes care of your vendor compliance process. So I'm just giving you an example. What is a big focus for me? Those are the kind of things. For example, the other example I can give you on women's safety. Are you adopting technology in your workplace to ensure that your women are safe? What does that mean? That means, do you have a policy that women are going back to home or coming to office from home, whether they are coming in a night shift? So some people will say, what is a night shift? Night shift is 10 to 7. No, the night shift is 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. But many people are not cognizant about the fact that they have to provide a safe transportation, and whether we should use technology to integrate all that safety procedures in place. So for me, the use of tech should also be not only for compliance of law, but also for safety of your employees. That is how one should look at technology. It is not only a box ticking or filing of returns, but whether it should also relate to women's safety, whether employee benefits, those kind of things should also be integrated in your software technology platforms.
So basically, what you're saying is one part of technology is easing process,
Yes,
and do that.
right.
And there are tools that are coming up for that. We are happy with that.
Yes,
Whatever. But there is a different part of technology which can be used to solve real world problems
yes,
and really gather data for these problems. Then you are able to analyze the data, and then you're able to implement a solution for that.
yes,
And you're saying on that side, you're not seeing so much of focus,
yes.
which is as instrumental as your compliance and all that, because everything at the end of the day speaks to the productivity and of an organization.
See, for technology, I would, so technology, law is one thing, but whether that benefit is flowing to the employees or not, that is important. Whether if somebody wants to withdraw provident fund, so we will say, companies will say that yes, well, we have now on the RPFC portal, anybody can do this, anybody can click and they will get. But factually, whether that's working.
All those who have withdrawn provident fund, when you have shifted employers, you have to get one paper, you're like, oh God.
So those kind of, so that is how you should look at your compliance program. That the real-time user is not the law department. The real-time user is the employee. And the employee should get that benefit of whatever technology solutions you are implementing. That is how I see it.
That's a lot more comprehensive an answer than what, I guess the perspective that we were thinking. So I think I should thank you for that. Do you think, now that you've spent such a long time, you've done so many interesting things in your career, the primary being the amount of time that you've taken out for educating yourself and probably educating other people, students, etc. Is there anything you wish you'd done differently?
Yes. So, what I have done for myself is now history. I think what I should be doing something differently is not a personal effort. It needs to be an effort collectively by professionals. So, what does that mean? It means whether are we changing the lives of students, and what is that? To be specific, thousands of students every year they qualify to become lawyers. Thousands of students qualify every year to become to do after doing their MBA. If you read the reports which are published by the government, hardly single digit percent, less than 10% of them are employable.
Employable.
Employable. Hardly 10%. It was in the Economic Times, I think, day before, that about 6 or 7% law students are employable in this country. Hardly 10 to 15% MBA graduates. And we are not talking only about IIMs. We are talking about there are thousands of institutions, tier 2, tier 3 cities. So, what is it? We are aiming to do this program in winter of 2025 and the start of winter of 2026. And we'll roll it out, and you'll very soon hear from us.
We're very happy to you. Please feel free to use our platform.
Of course.
If you need anything, we're
Of
very
course.
happy to. If there's any way that we can support you, please tell us.
We will promote this program.
Yeah, whatever you need. I mean,
Yes.
if you need. If you
Yes.
don't need, it's fine. But if you need,
We will definitely.
very
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
to.
We will need your
Because
support.
I am. I mean, see, I also have a. It's almost like a personal crusade for me. A lot of people ask me, why do you start a podcast? But I also lecture in a lot of colleges because I like the subject.
Teaching. Yeah.
There are many colleges that I did not even know existed.
Yes.
Maybe I was living under a rock, I don't know. And very recently, I live in very close to my house in Bombay. There were 3 colleges. Didn't even know that it's in my backyard. I was absolutely stunned. So when you said they're not employable, I understand because the quality of students is something I'm not seeing, not even imagined that could be like this. And they are going to be tomorrow guardians of somebody's life and business. It's quite scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary, and especially, when parents they invest the hard-earned money, often borrow money for the future of their kids, just to find that these kids are not employable.
Yeah, it's very sad actually. And you're right, and we're very happy to support in any way.
Yeah.
Please let me know.
Yes. So this program has to go at a national level,
Of course.
and we need to have a lot of people who should come forward and do similar kind of activities.
Yeah.
It's not about CSR. It's not about um, getting funds. It's about making a real contribution.
Yes.
And that is what I think we as professionals can do the minimum. We can only share our experiences. So one way is what we are doing now.
Yeah.
The other way is to have a direct connect with students, because these students, the other problem is when these
But show them the podcast in your
of course, of
4
course,
weeks.
of course. So the other way is when these students go for internships. So the practical side of it, that students will say that I am interning with so and so. But the question is, in those 4 weeks, what is the face time
Correct.
did they get with
Correct.
the
With
person
the-
who's providing
yes.
a training?
Yes.
It will not be there. Whether it's a advocate office, whether it's a law firm, whether it's a company. I'm not blaming anybody, but
course.
I think the current system is such. What we are trying to achieve is, in this 4 weeks program, and these things will change. In this 4 weeks program, you get a direct face-to-face time with the person who is providing you training, which will be a senior professional. And that is where these students will have questions. And this should be a platform where it's not only about one-way communication and teaching. It should also be to hear their problems and to try to find a solution for those problems.
Oh, so it'll be a beautiful thing. It's a great initiative. I have my best wishes for it, and also I'm volunteering my time and in case you need it.
Yes.
We learned a lot about your professional life and your professional aspirations and your thoughts. But we also learned before we started rolling that you are so much more interesting than just a lawyer. You are a musician with a YouTube channel, and you have fancy videos shot all over the world. You are a biker. You love speed, and you're a sports person. So tell us a little bit about Akhil Prasad, not the lawyer.
Yeah, so that is very interesting. So that also was something which was always in my mind when I was in the survival mode. So when anybody is in a survival mode and things are difficult, we often let go our hobbies. So, or the hobbies take a backseat. So for me, it was always in my mind that these hobbies I will never let die. And whenever I go to so many institutions, and my only message and my most important message to all the students that I speak with is, when you are in your college, spend 4 hours for your hobbies. 3 to 4 hours for your hobbies, whether you are a footballer, whether you are a cricketer, whether you are a singer, whether you are a debater. A college is not only a place where you go and slog for education. A college should be a place which brings about your total complete transformation. Our institutions should also, and I have spoken to the vice chancellors and registrars of all these major or big universities, whether it's IIMs, IIT, Shulini, and everywhere. And I have told them that please allow students, you have such fancy gym, but when we go to your gym, there is hardly anybody gymming. When we go to your swimming pool, we don't see anybody swimming. When you go to your cricket ground, nobody is playing. So please allow students that time to able to harness, their hobbies. Because if hobbies are not there, the work pressure will, bring you down. Unfortunately, today we are seeing so many health issues among youngsters. Perhaps they are not able to balance their hobbies, their spare time, time to meditate, time to sing, time to dance. Because if you were to do that, it will give you so much energy from within that you are able to
Handle.
handle more work pressure. For example, I have realized in last 2 3 years that the role of gymming, the role of swimming, the role of sports in your every day is so important, because if you were to do this, your 24 hours become 48 hours, and you still retain the same energy,
Yeah, that vitality.
that vitality. uh, so that is what is something which I've really started to do in last 5 6 years. So about singing, it's been very interesting that I used to sing when I was in school. This was many decades ago, and that time I used to sing on every Saturday during the school activities. But then after I lost my father, the work pressure and the singing, so I used to sing, but not as well, or it was not a very structured process. So in 2017, I said it's now or never. I'm not getting younger, so I have to start learning. So music I started to learn, and my guru came to my office, and he's a youngster.
But I love the way you reference, like, you have a space for a guru, however much younger than you, but you're always like calling him guru. It's very unusual.
Yeah, so my guru, so he came, and he came to my Connaught Place office, Boeing's Connaught Place office, and then he said, he looked at my office, and he said, "यहाँ सीखेंगे?" I said, "Sir, this is Connaught Place." So कहते, "Why don't you get a room here?" I said, "Room in Connaught Place? Not possible." So कहाँ सीखेंगे? So I said, "Sir, just one request. If you don't feel offended, you are such a big classical singer from Kerana Gharana, which is one of the fundamental music families in India. I have a solution. That business, the solution side of me." I said, "Sir, I have a car park -2 in the same building. what if we learn in the car? I will get my harmonium, and my harmonium will be in my car. And this was 2017. He said, कौन सी गाड़ी है आपकी? मैंने कहा सर गाड़ी तो कोई सी भी है, तो एक AC चलता है. So he said, yeah, let's try. So I bought my harmonium in the car. This was 2017, and we did riyaz for 1 hour in my parking. And then we took approval from DLF that, can you allow for 1 hour 2 times a week, and that practice has continued.
So even now you sit in the car.
So my Pathshala,
हाँ, is your
apni to
car.
Pathshala is my car.
Wow.
And then this has continued since 2017, and 2 weeks, 2 times a week we do riyaz in car, and he comes, he plays the harmonium, and then we do Saregama Padanisa. And then recently 3 years ago I said, sir, now it's been a while, and then the COVID came. So what people would do during COVID, अब हम कैसे करें? COVID हो गया, सब बंद हो गया, सब खत्म हो गया. But we continued. And then we continued through video conference. And the benefit of that was I now am able to play ragas on harmonium. Because then there was no guru in front of me.
So you had to learn.
So I had to do it myself.
Yeah.
So now I am able to, I have a piano at home, electric piano, and I do a 3-tal on that, and that I put on a 210 speed, and on a 210 speed I am able to do a Saregama Padanisa.
Achha.
And I can play on my harmonium.
अरे वाह.
So that is how,
Yeah.
but then I'm a very practical person. So I confessed to my guru that, sir, I can never become a classical singer. He said, why? I said, sir, I cannot practice for 7-8 hours a day. This is what a classical singer.
Is
So
required.
he said, what do you want to do? I said, sir, my heart is in Bollywood. And as a kid, I was singing.
It's come in my genes.
It's
Because
by my
you have-
gene. My
yes.
family business was
Yes.
Bollywood. So he said, क्या करना चाहते हैं? I said, let's do cover versions. So then we started to do cover versions. And now I just released my 54th song in about 2 years. or so.
Wow. So tell them your YouTube channel also.
Yeah, it's my name. Yeah, Akhil Prasad.
Yes.
Please subscribe and like.
Of course. We have to see. So how many followers he has today, we will note. Then we will note when this video goes live.
And by the way, this is all organic. So I have
Yeah.
not paid anything for promotion of my, which I learned. People told me, you should do something. You
Yeah.
should talk to some promotional companies. They will increase your subscriber. I said, even if one person listens to my song, it's worth it.
Yeah. But you have like a production team in your house only.
In house.
So
So
you
my
are like
wife
a-
is she is a great videographer. So what we do is we record in a Delhi studio somewhere, and then Guruji helps me, and then he will compose the music. I also attended for the first time how the music is created. How do you create a track? So it was an eye opener. So one I will always remember. So this was one song we were doing a track, and that time a saxophone player was there. It is one of the best moments I have ever witnessed. How the person passionately plays the saxophone. So those kind of things are so energizing. And then now when we do the audio recording and when we are traveling, so Ritu, my wife, she will do the videography, and then my son is an editor. So he
Such a talented family. Like, I also want to incorporate this talent into my family. We are just very good audience. We'll be audience for you. And hopefully we'll have more audience for you. But this was like I did not know about this. So we just discussed this before you came. And it's such a nice thing to know. People are so interesting. So much more interesting than I am, I guess. So this was the main part of the podcast, okay, where, we learn about you. Then there's the last part, which is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is like a quicker answer, shorter answers typically. But this I do for myself because I like hearing the answers. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
So 5 productivity tips.
Collaboration. Collaboration, I would say, is the primary thing. Reading is another one, because to be a better professional, one has to constantly read. get inspiration, get inspired, and that inspiration, can come to you from any corner. It need not be your CEO. It can be your colleague. It could be a wonderful story, like what we are doing today. I learned so many things about you, about, the team that is here. So this is so inspirational. Then I would say respect for productivity is very, very important, because people always think that I am a middle level, I am a senior level person, I should be respected. But one thing is important, that for productivity and for your growth as a professional, it is very, very important that if you give respect, you gain respect. And most often of the time, we don't realize that you will not get respect unless you give respect. So that is very important. And the last one, which is extremely important, is to be humble, stay on ground, stay grounded. So, most often than not, I find people, you can experience that yourself. Call a person when the person is at home. Just observe the tone, and call the same person when the person is in office. Just observe the tone, and you will understand that the difference in the tone while the person is at home versus in office, there is a mask in office, or vice versa. A person may have a mask at home and a person may be different in office. I always try, and I have tried in my life, to bridge that gap. So, what I am at home, what I am in office, the tone will be similar. And my mindset also is similar while when I am at home or I am in office. So, as I said in the beginning, for me, every day is a Monday, every day is a Sunday. So, that is something which I try to, you know, cultivate, and I recommend that people should do, is to be humble. And by humbleness, I feel try to change yourself in a way that what you are with your family, you should be with your employees and your colleagues. For example, the most important thing, I can give you an example. Women's safety is the most important thing. What you are with your mother and with your sister and with your wife, the same thing, such same respect you should give to your colleagues, female colleagues at workplace. If you're able to give the same thing, the same mask, remove the mask, the same level of respect, there will never be a problem of women's safety in your office.
Correct. Then everybody else also feels
Yeah.
more comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Around such a
Sorry,
person.
a long answer
No,
for
no,
your
that's
five
okay.
things. Yeah.
That's fine. But one thing when I asked you this question, I was thinking you're probably one of the most productive people. Not that I don't know you, but from what I, this last 1 hour that we've been sitting and chatting, because you are able to do, like you said, you're able to fit 48 hours into 24 hours. So you probably are very good at time management, and you're probably very
I
good
learned.
at boundaries.
I never was. I never was. I was extremely, as I said, when I started, people used to say so many things about me. But I think what I learned is, instead of getting angry, take it, bring out what is positives in that, whether it's a negative feedback or a positive feedback. Is that something really lacking inside you? Don't be, yeah. So you should not be emotional, you should be practical. If somebody is saying that, Akhil, these are some things that you lack, don't be combative. First understand whether these things are really lacking, and if you're lacking, you have to improve. And if you have to, you will only become a better professional if you improve. And that is a free advice somebody is giving to you. Why should you ignore
That's
it?
a very mature way of thinking. Most of
Yes.
us are like, what rubbish. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much ego, right? You're like,
Yes.
what rubbish.
So I may say I'm 30 years experience,
Huh.
and tomorrow if a youngster comes to my office from a law firm or from college, the person may say that, did you hear about this DPDP Act? And if I have not studied the DPDP Act, I should not load my 30 years experience on the person who knows
Yeah.
about the subject.
Okay.
I have to open my mind and learn. Anybody can teach you.
Yeah. True.
You need to have a learning mind.
Yes. That I think you've amply displayed in the last 1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 books that you'd recommend. Could be anything. Need not be law books.
So, see, I have become, as I was telling you, I've become, I think, in our day to day world, the way how busy all of us are, uh, we don't find time for studying a book. But what I have realized, adapting to technology, I think this audiobook concept is is very very nice. So what I have really inspired me, just finished a book on Mahatma Gandhi, my experiments with truth. So I always wanted to read those five big volumes, but I never had that time because now the most important difficulty in reading some books is the fine print. So you really need your good reading glasses. So that audiobooks are very, very important. So one book which has inspired me is on Mahatma Gandhi. The other book which I recently heard, not read, heard, was Devanand's biography. So I'm a big biography person because biographies teach me a lot. I just started Nehruji's Discovery of India because I'm very passionate about. So all of us have learned the various things about culture and the role of culture, heritage in our upbringing, but I have never. So we have learned history in school, but that was many years ago. I think I was more curious to know about the history of India or the discovery of India. So I just started with that. The other book that I want to read, you know, which are in the pipeline, is one which is India after Gandhi. That is Ramchandra Guha, because I really want to, in a structured way. So I'm a big fan of structured learning. That is why these 12 degrees. But yeah,
You
but
actually have 12 degrees.
yeah,
You have 12 degrees.
yes.
If you have a nameplate though, your font of your name will be small and you know.
So that was the survival kit, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a survival kit. That's why they are 12, because I was so nervous and anxious.
One degree for each year that you
1 degree for
expect.
each year or 2 degrees in a year.
Yeah. This is like in Rama and Mahabharata. one thing for
So
each
that
year,
was
one
the
was
survival kit. So
yeah.
now the new education is music.
Music.
The new
language.
education is teaching others, right? Or developing something. That's also education.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is yeah.
My dance teacher used to say, "You learn best what you teach." So she would make us teach.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah. So the book coming back to the subject. So yeah, in India after Gandhi is what I want to read. So that's about 3 or 4.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
3 tips you want to give lawyers, young lawyers or law students.
I think it's generally about it's from the first question. I think the 3 things is, first of all, is respect is non-negotiable, and you have to give respect. You have to be completely humble on ground, and third thing, which is the most important thing, is education. Keep learning, and learning is fundamental. And I'm not saying be a mad person like me to get 12 degrees, but I think for any professional's success, it's important. Education plays a very very important role, and education can not only by acquiring degrees. Education can be.
Yeah, I think maybe what you're saying is have that learning mind, like you've said that couple of times already. As long as you're curious and you keep wanting to know, because see, this AI is a very dangerous thing, right? Because it just cuts through and gives you the answer immediately.
Yeah, even see, I would think that in AI, the the issue will be that you have to be ahead of AI. So it's a higher learning. Because, for example, if I were to speak something on Gemini or on Siri, the AI things, they will give me hundreds of points. But what is my
Human intelligence.
human intelligence is to able to understand that what is crap and what is good, and to remove crap from good requires intelligence. So what our job as a human mind is superior to what a AI is doing, and that is where your quest for learning will be tested. Okay, whether your learning curve is higher than AI or below AI. If you are below AI, you are slave of AI. But if you are above AI, then you are user of AI.
Oh, this we will like put on a.
Yeah, of course it is. It has to be this way, because if you are dependent on AI, then your intellectual curiosity and your competence level will be your. So when people talk about redundancy, what do people say? People say people who are not able to adapt. I am not saying that. I am saying that your intellectual level, your learning, quest for learning should be so much that your AI you use as a tool to support you in your work. That is how it should be seen, in my view.
But I agree. And it's a beautiful way of putting it. Maybe that these are not the words that we would have used.
Yes.
But now that you say it, it makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
And two life lessons that you have learned in your life.
There have been plenty.
Plenty,
There
I
have been
know.
plenty, but the life lesson which I've learned is never. Um, every person is a human being. Every person is an emotional person. Speak with that person softly, with an encouraging approach. There may so people get frustrated very easily, whether you are a teacher, whether you are a boss, whether you have a class 4 employee in your organization. We get frustrated very easily, and we get let that frustration out on our teams. I think the real role for us is to digest our frustration, understand why we are frustrated, and not pass that frustration on to our teams. That to me is the most important thing. If we are passing on our frustrations to our teams, what is the difference that we are doing as a human being? We are not, we are only giving away our pain points to our team, and that team will never be able to support us. And that is how organizations usually will fail. It's a very simple thing, it's a human nature. And the other thing, you know, your original question was
Two life lessons.
life lesson. So this was one. The second one is, you know, life has to move on. You know, you have people today. You may not have those people tomorrow. Don't get bogged down by people who you have lost, whether it's a physical loss, whether it's a relationship loss. Always look or have a goal towards the positivity of life, that tomorrow will be a different day. I may be doing something today. I may have invested my full life on it, but then tomorrow it's a God's wish. Things may be different. Pick up that courage to come bounce back. Um, bring or look around positivity around you. Look for people who are or can give you that positivity. Collaborate with them so that you can face the new life with more confidence or greater confidence.
So this goes back to your approach to crisis, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes, it is.
Yeah,
It is.
band together and collaborate.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. So you don't learn from your companies.
Yeah.
You learn from your life.
Yeah.
What you contribute in your company is what you learn from your life.
Yeah.
So your life is the real learning. Company is an application of your learning.
Correct. Yeah, true. That is if you're open to the lessons that you
If
get.
you're open to
Yeah.
so listen to your conscience. So conscience will always tell you the right thing. It is our ego which prevents us from listening to our conscience.
True.
So let go your ego, listen to your conscience. Life will be simple.
And just खुश रहो.
खुश रहो, खुशी मिलेगी.
हाँ.
देखिए ह्यूमन बींग्स हैं, we will have negativities. Our health problems will trouble us, our parents' health problems will trouble us, or some economic things will trouble us. That trouble will also come. You will have a negative moment and a positive moment, but ultimately life will be positive. So look for that direction of positivity. I think that is the only way.
Lovely. And
I
finally,
may not be practicing it, but at least I'm learning it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a life lesson.
It's
so,
a
I
life
mean,
lesson. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you're learning.
Yeah.
And the best piece of advice that you've received. One best piece of advice.
I think what my parents have taught me is, so, our ancestral home in Meerut, um, the doors would open at 6 a.m. and the doors will close only after after midnight or something. And during those hours, we would host 100 people every day. My father's had such a. So I am not doing that. But what that has taught me is it's very, very important. The advice has been that be nice to people. People may go say bad things about you, or people may um, try to say that this person doesn't know anything. I have faced so many situations even from my relatives. But what thing I have realized is that Devanand's song जिंदगी का साथ निभाता
No,
चला
but
गया.
you have to sing it, boss.
हाँ, we will sing it.
हाँ.
जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया,
हाँ.
हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया.
Hmm.
So that is, I think, one of the very powerful messages that he gave through his films, and I completely resonate with that. That there is no stopping you, but stopping you doesn't mean you have to be arrogant. Stopping you means throughout a people should treat you as a positive person. And that is what you should try and aspire to be, whether in your organization, in a company, whether at home. So that makhota should not be there, a mask should not be there. And that is what at least I try to be.
Lovely. This is a beautiful note for us to close the podcast, but I love the song that you actually picked. It just came. So we can't let you go without singing. So you'll have to sing a little bit. Sorry.
It's on my YouTube channel, but I will sing nevertheless.
Thank you. 2 lines is also okay.
मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया. मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, बर्बादियों का सोग मनाना फिजूल था, बर्बादियों का सोग मनाना फिजूल था, बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we don't have like the loud clap and all. Sorry, only mine.
No, so nice of you for inviting me.
Yeah.
And I really love the
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, the candid discussion is always very energizing.
Yeah. But thank you. I had a lovely time. I think all of us had a lovely time.
No, thank you so much. It's such a wonderful team here.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. But I hope we'll see you soon. And
Anytime.
we'll
Just a phone call away.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep watching us. Keep watching Akhil's podcast, and we want to have him back just to regale us with more music. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
This video is sponsored by Zoho Sign, a comprehensive digital e-signature solution tailored for Indian businesses. If you are an Indian business looking to sign loads of contracts or agreements, authenticate signers and also pay stamp duties, look no further than Zoho Sign. Legally recognized under the provisions of the Indian Information Technology Act 2000, Zoho Sign is the signature solution of choice with popular brands like Paragon Footwear, ACG World, and more than 40,000 such companies. With Zoho Sign, you can quickly sign, send, manage documents, and automate signature workflows. This lets you close deals and execute legal documents faster than ever. But what about security, you ask? Zoho Sign's digital signatures use cryptographic techniques backed by digital certificates to ensure security and provide proof of identity. In addition, Indian businesses can authenticate your signers using the Aadhaar-based ID verification and also pay stamp duties and generate e-challans with Zoho Sign's e-stamping feature. Zoho Sign is beloved by customers against its competitors for its straightforward pricing, adaptability across verticals and business sizes, ease of use, and no compromise compliance. It is a must-have for law and legal tech folks who are looking to streamline and digitize their paperwork. For detailed demo and queries, you can reach out on the emails given in the description box below.